cute. Look, karangkraf stickers. We have Takhta Mayaloka. Hello, I am ready untuk baca buku ni, Takhta Mayaloka by Evelyn. Satu buku yang aku tak pernah delve into. First of all, science fiction memang bukan genre utama bacaan aku. Kedua, aku memang tak tahu apa-apa tentang AR. Buku ni tentang seorang pelajar bernama Ashraf. Sekarang ni semua orang tengah gila-gilakan this game, this alternative reality game. Semua orang tengah main. Tapi dia seorang je tak main. Dia different than others. Ada satu kematian seorang pelajar yang mencurigakan, like suspicious. And kita nak tahu kenapa. Tapi the company of the game, the founder, I guess, dia orang macam tutup kes tu cepat-cepat. So, Ashraf dia nak tahu apa yang this company is hiding. So, I will get started now. Okay, girl, first impressions. I am so into this book already. Aku rasa macam aku diserap masuk dalam dunia ni dan aku tak nak keluar. Dah baca 100 pages, loving it. Ada like this unresolved trauma between Shifa dengan Ashraf. Y'all need couples therapies. That this AR game, that world that Evelyn created, sangat immersive. When you're describing things yang unfamiliar untuk kita kan, contoh terangkan tentang mekanisme game ni sangat susah. Dan bagi aku cara penulisan, cara penerangan tentang dunia game ni sangatlah lengkap, menyeluruh dan kreatif. I am so excited to keep reading. Hopefully tomorrow I sampai maybe 200 pages, 300 pages. That's my goal. Okay, kalau boleh I nak habiskan this book in one go. So that's all. I'm so excited. It is currently day 2 of reading Takhta Mayaloka. Dah separuh dah aku baca. You know when an author like lures you into this false sense of security, and then you pun rasa selamat sebab engkau pun bodoh. Lepas tu tiba-tiba like they pull a move that just ruins your entire world. That is what happened in this book. Okay, ada kematian dalam yang described in the synopsis. So like in a way kita as reader expected, right? We just don't know who died. Evelyn buat aku rasa selamat sebab bila aku baca konflik tentang buku ni, which is related dengan kematian tu, aku macam okay, we overcame this, right? Like it's over, I can move on, right? And aku pun baca lah dengan tenang. Lepas tu tiba-tiba something happened which ruined my entire world. That aku kena physically tutup buku ni and went to sleep. Like, you got me. You actually got me. Aku terkena. I don't even know how to move on from this. Genuinely. I don't know what to do. Only good things from here, though. Only good things. Right? I'm just gonna continue reading. See what happens. Hello. Aku baru je habis baca Takhta Mayaloka dan aku, I've gathered my thoughts. I've made some analysis. Now aku dah ready nak cerita buku ni tentang apa dan apa yang aku rasa dan fikir tentang buku ni. Pertama sekali, I loved it. It was so good. Aku rasa penulisan Evelyn is very, very sharp, excellent. A debut novel of this caliber is very, very respectable. It is a kind of writing that you look forward to in the future. Hopefully, Evelyn akan tulis more books because I 100% enjoyed this book and I absolutely enjoyed her writing. Summary buku ni, basically, kita follow main character kita iaitu Ashraf. And Ashraf ni adalah seorang pelajar dekat University Verse Media. University ni bukan uni biasa-biasa tau. Dia uni yang sangat up to date with the latest technology. Students, almost all of them, I guess. All of them dibekalkan dengan satu device ni nama dia Adria. And Adria ni adalah satu device yang kalau korang tengok reference dekat the cover of the book, it's this thing yang dia pakai. So, ada headband. And then dekat headband ni ada bone conduction headphones and dia pancarkan image dekat your eyes. So, you tak perlukan iPad, tablet, phone, notebooks, everything. Bila kau belajar dalam kelas, kau memang akan pakai device ni. And nak katakan bukan setakat device Adria ni je, tapi the facilities dalam university ni very, very advanced tau. Bila kita tengok a glimpse of kelas Ashraf, kita dapat tengok yang projector yang diorang guna dalam kelas pun is directly related to Adria masing-masing, and projector pun pakai, ada sensor, ada motion sensor. You tak payah dah nak tekan-tekan, you tak payah guna laptop, etc. Everything is at the palm of your hand. Quite literally. Apa yang berlaku ialah Ashraf ni, dia seorang yang kurang gemar dengan AR. He respects it in terms of kemajuan, dalam bidang teknologi, tapi dia tak setuju dengan ketaksuban kawan-kawan dia and orang-orang terhadap AR. And what is AR? It's augmented reality. Apa kaitan buku ni dengan augmented reality kan? Dekat universiti ni, ada satu game yang digila-gilakan oleh pelajar-pelajar lain, iaitu Takhta Mayaloka. Takhta Mayaloka ni dicipta oleh salah seorang profesor yang ada dekat University Verse Media ni, and dia lah macam perintis kepada bidang AR, dan Ashraf sangat respect and hormat kepada dia. Nama profesor ni adalah Profesor Kamal. So Profesor Kamal adalah orang yang cipta game ni. Pelajar dekat sini ada privilege untuk experience Takhta Mayaloka ni for the very first time prior to its release. Diorang ni macam beta testers lah. Bila orang lain tengah gila-gilakan game ni, Ashraf, dia rasa macam tak minat nak main. I mean, bila kawan-kawan dia ajak, dia macam, okay lah. But he himself, he doesn't have any goals in this game. Ranking dia pun sangatlah 4 digit. You know how low it is to be 4 digit in terms of ranking? Maksudnya dia memang tak ada inisiatif, tak ada minat langsung nak upkan ranking, nak main game ni. Konflik dalam cerita ni berlaku bila tiba-tiba ada ura-ura dan news yang ada seorang pelajar mati disebabkan game ni. Tapi game ni diteruskan macam biasa je. Tak ada, there's no investigation. Semua orang anggap tak ada apa-apa berlaku. Tak ada orang responsible. Memang everything sama macam biasa je. There is no news. Tak ada kepastian sama ada benda ni betul atau tak. Tapi Ashraf, because this incident is something that is so close to him personally, dia ambil inisiatif untuk siasat apa yang sebenarnya berlaku. Siapa dalang di sebalik musibah ni sebenarnya. Untuk tahu apa yang berlaku, apa yang Ashraf buat, who is guilty kan. And apa yang berlaku lepas ni, you have to give this book a read. Tapi aku ada disclaimer, aku nak discuss buku ni secara detailed. So, unfortunately, this will not be a spoiler-free review. But, if you want a spoiler-free review of Takhta Mayaloka, korang boleh pergi dekat my TikTok page at Mild Daydreams. My name is Maular, same as my YouTube handle. For those yang dah baca Takhta Mayaloka and you want to see my full detailed thoughts of it, stick around, sambil buat kerja ke. Let's discuss, My full thoughts on this book is that it is excellent. Aku dah puji and state how much I love the writing of this book. Sangat sharp, sangat detailed, sangat easy to digest. Even dalam babak-babak action, which is, something yang sangat susah nak tulis because there is so much going on. It was easy to understand. So, aku selalu cakap dekat kawan-kawan aku yang buku ni macam kau tengah tengok movie because it's so easy to understand, so easy to visualize. And in terms of the world building, kan, because novel ni adalah novel science fiction, futuristic, and technological advancements yang kita belum capai lagi sekarang, tapi ada possibility untuk capai pada masa depan. And this is a glimpse into that kind of future, kan. And the game Takhta Mayaloka. What I especially liked about Takhta Mayaloka as a game, kan, when we talk about wanting to invent games and creating artworks or, creating works in general, as artists, as creators, kita nak ada identity Malaysia dalam produk-produk yang kita buat. And aku rasa Takhta Mayaloka tak tertinggal ataupun tak terkecuali dalam aspek ni. Sebab nama-nama alatan dan raksasa dalam novel ni still ada identiti Melayu. Contoh nama raksasa yang aku suka, Sesibur Senja, Siluman Antaboga. So these are very fancy names. Nama-nama raksasa ni bukan not just bukan sahaja kreatif, tapi pada masa yang sama mencerminkan identiti dan kebolehan raksasa ni. Let's talk about the world building, the aspects of Takhta Mayaloka as a game. One of the most surprising parts about Takhta Mayaloka as a game was ada pain simulator. So kalau kau take damage kan, kau akan rasa sakit dekat badan kau, luka ke, darah ke, but it is not permanent. After a while, hilanglah luka tu, for example, kan. So I think this aspect of AR games is so advanced and so creative. Betapa advanced di Takhta Mayaloka ni sampai you ada this feature. What I thought was fresh and new was that you need physical stamina untuk main game ni, because memang you macam lawan betul-betul. It's not just you berdiri tegak and then you do just a bit of movements. No, apa yang kau nampak dalam video game sekarang, video game combat sekarang, kalau diorang lawan ke, that is what you'll be doing in Takhta Mayaloka. So you need to be physically fit, you need to have strategy, you need to have quick thinking skills. It is a fleshed out game, and I enjoyed that aspect about Takhta Mayaloka. Let's get into the characters. Ashraf as our main character, kita tahu yang dia ada trauma silam melibatkan kawan dia Shifa, kawan baik dia Shifa. And dulu Ashraf ni seorang gamer, streamer yang sangat famous, you know. So when he went to this conference, there was this man who threatened the life of Shifa by asking him to reveal himself. Sebab he was hiding behind an identity. So obviously dia tak reveal nama betul dia. Lelaki ni minta dia show himself or he will threaten to kill Shifa. What I liked about this scene was we got a very, I guess, realistic account into what would go through someone's head when you are held hostage, when your life is on the line. Scenes yang macam ni dalam kita tengok dalam movies, kan selalunya orang yang kena the hostage akan macam run, dia orang macam tak selfish kan. They're like run, it's okay, let me be. That would how it would go. But I liked Shifa's thought process and how it was revealed to us, because dia sendiri rasa yang dia tak nak mati lagi. Obviously, who wants to die? Dia nak sangat Ashraf tunjuk diri dia supaya nyawa dia terselamat. And mungkin at first glance, kau rasa macam selfish ni Shifa ni. But you put yourself in her shoes. Kau nak mati ke? Logically, you will have a fight or flight reaction. The first thing you want to do is run. The first thing you want to do is get away from the situation. No, aku suka bila kita reflect balik on apa yang Shifa rasa. Dia cakap yang dia rasa dia ni selfish for wanting Ashraf to tunjuk and reveal himself as the streamer, even if that put his streaming and gaming career at cost. In that aspect, aku rasa that event was extremely realistic. And let's talk about the trauma between Ashraf dengan Shifa. So aku dah mention apa aspek ni dalam my spoiler-free review on TikTok, how this book cakap banyak ataupun demonstrate tentang unresolved trauma yang kau tak selesaikan. Macam mana you react to events yang ingatkan kau dekat trauma tu is what matters lepas you experience that trauma. So, Ashraf and Shifa is a prime example of unhealthy coping. Unhealthy coping with trauma. Sebab diorang macam nak pura-pura kuat for each other by not talking about it. Diorang macam, oh, I'm fine. Aku okay je. Past is past. Kita move on je dekat sini. It is hurting both of them unconsciously. You tak boleh brush something as traumatic as that event off macam tu je. You can't do that. Puts their friendship at cost. Sebab diorang tak nak communicate betul-betul. They don't want to be honest with each other. This trauma shaped Shifa's character, although I have my own set of thoughts on Shifa's character, which is not rooted in her trauma at all. But for the time being, I will say the trauma yang Shifa dapat during that during that event in her life shaped her into what she is and into how they react to things and her relationship with Ashraf now. Tak kisahlah kau kawan ke, kau family members ke, if you're lovers, partners, if you don't talk this through and go to therapy, I'm not positive that it will be a smooth road if you want to maintain this relationship. What happens when Shifa hides things from Ashraf? Ashraf macam tahu tau yang Shifa ni ada sorokkan something from dia. In fact, not just something but like banyak benda. And it turns out Shifa is one of the top 5 highest players in Takhta Mayaloka, because Takhta Mayaloka kan ada ranking kan. So dia ni adalah salah seorang daripada top 5 players yang ada ranking tertinggi dalam game ni, which means not only is she, incredibly talented, incredibly fit, incredibly handal dalam game ni, tapi at the same time she spends a lot of time investing a lot of time into this game. And the reason why she has to do that is because these top 5 players are also the most prioritized beta players dalam game ni. For example, if ada update baru kan pasal game ni, diorang yang akan test out dulu. They have that privilege, but at the same time it can also be a burden because you need to invest so much time into this game as a test subject while also being a student. So oftentimes Shifa ni dia akan keluar daripada bilik dia pukul 3-4 pagi ataupun lewat malam. And roommate dia ni adalah Diana, and Diana ni is in Ashraf punya friend circle. But she's suspicious, tapi dia macam tak banyak sangat pry into Shifa sebab I guess Shifa seems like a very private person. But Diana does ask Ashraf pasal aku nampak Shifa keluar pukul 3-4 pagi. It's questionable sebab kenapa, why do you need to be there so early? Why do you need to be anywhere that early in the morning? So this is one of the secrets that Shifa keeps. Dia pergi dekat headquarters of Takhta Mayaloka and she carries out, training sessions, testing out sessions directly under Professor Kamal. This part makes Ashraf mad, and understandably so when he discovers this, because this is such a big secret that comes into play dalam buku ni, and he doesn't understand why Shifa would rahsiakan something as big as this from him. So, before we get into why Ashraf feels incredibly hurt by kenapa Shifa rahsiakan benda ni, let's talk about ataupun konflik dalam cerita ni kan, bila ada student mati. Before we get to know about what happened, kita nak tahu circle Ashraf outside of, his relationship dengan Shifa. Ashraf ada roommate nama dia Fikri, and Fikri ni is someone who is extremely obsessed dengan game ni, but like in a good way, he's very critical. Dia siap buat handbook untuk, like a guidebook of strategies and things yang dia analyze. So I would say that walaupun dia sangat obsessed dengan game ni, he makes it fruitful. I think that is what makes him very smart and plan-oriented dalam buku ni. Bila ada satu raksasa yang dia nak defeat kan, this one, suddenly, all of a sudden, another character shows up. And this character's name is Helios. Dalam, diorang semua pakai username yang lain lah. Lain from their real name. Helios ni, dia adalah one of the top 5 players too, just like Shifa, but not everyone knows who these top players are. So, Helios ni adalah top player yang pertama yang reveal diri dia dekat public. Dia ni siapa kan. And dia ni is an absolute asshole. Dia reveal himself so that dia nak budget ranking dia tinggi, he's got his own special suit. And what pissed Fikri off bila Helios shows up is Helios ni dia attack the players dalam ruang lawan raksasa tu so that raksasa tu tak dapat dikalahkan. And he gets extremely pissed and deservedly so sebab macam kalau aku mengang kan, kau ni siapa? So apa yang berlaku adalah Helios cabar Fikri to a one-on-one duel without telling him that one-on-one duel ni menggunakan mode permainan baru that is still being tested and not revealed to the public. Tapi sebab dia ada advantage tu, dia ada kelebihan untuk tahu this mode because he's the top 5 player. Dia sengaja select mode tu, and that mode is player kill mode. So you see where this is going, okay? Obviously, Fikri is defeated because, compared to Helios, like, he was just not at an advantage, okay? So Ashraf, kebetulan dia lalu, dia nampak, dia panic. And then, we get to know what happens. So, the guy who died is Fikri. When Fikri dies, Ashraf knows that this is the real thing. Like, something is definitely wrong, and someone is definitely behind this, and that don't take responsibility, and nothing is being done. Now it happened to his best friend, his roommate. Lepas kematian Fikri, a minor aspect or a minor plot, well not plot, tapi tema yang minor dalam buku ni adalah tentang kematian dan kehilangan seseorang yang kau sangat sayang. So dalam kes ni Ashraf kehilangan Fikri disebabkan game tu. Dan bila kau observe dan bila kau tengok reaction kawan-kawan Ashraf dekat kematian si Fikri, kau akan nampak banyak gila advice dekat orang yang sedang grieving. Someone who just went through another beloved's death. Kau akan nampak pelbagai gelagat manusia untuk bagi tahu Ashraf untuk move on. Macam sabarlah Ashraf, ini dah tak ada dah, ini semua ketentuan Tuhan, kau kena reda je. Betul lah kata-kata tu kan, tapi those words always just piss me off because you are not in that person's shoes. Kau memang tak ada hak nak suruh orang tu move on macam tu je. Kau nak senang ke? Aku memang tak boleh lah dengan orang-orang macam ni kan. And what's worse is Shifa's reaction to this whole incident and how Ashraf reacted to his grief. Bila aku tengok macam mana Shifa react kan terhadap kematian Fikri, aku rasa macam kau ni kan, kau macam dah bukan kawan, kau dah tak layak panggil Ashraf kawan kau. Kau dah tak layak panggil diri kau kawan Ashraf kalau kau cakap macam tu dekat dia. After Fikri's death, he religiously goes to the headquarters of Takhta Mayaloka and like berdiri je depan tu. Dia nak jumpa Professor Kamal because he wants to confront Professor Kamal and ask him what happened. Tapi Professor Kamal tak nak jumpa dia. And that itself was already suspicious. Macam kenapa kau tak nak take responsibility? Kenapa kau tak nak keluarkan statement apa-apa pasal kematian Fikri? Relentlessly memang akan berdiri dekat depan headquarters tu. And Shiva rasa macam bengang lah. Apa yang kau tak puas hati sangat kan dengan Professor Kamal? Obviously when you hear a friend who has been your best friend for a very long time kan, bila dia cakap kat kau macam tu, dia macam mesti kau pelik dengan behaviour dia. Tapi aku rasa Ashraf dah totally resigned dengan behaviour Shifa yang pelik ni. And aku sangat marah sebenarnya dekat Shifa bila dia sendiri cakap yang kau kena move on. Fikri kan dah tak ada. Mana kau tahu dia mati sebab game tu? Kau ada bukti ke? Like girl, can you at least word apa yang kau tengah cakap tu dengan lebih, I don't know, emotional, dengan lebih empathetic, dengan lebih sympathetic? Like girl, that is not how you talk to someone who is going through grieving for someone's death, especially a best friend. That is why she fought. Even as someone who has her own set of trauma, who has her own character development further into the story, I think she is my most disliked character dalam buku ni because I tak kisahlah your trauma, you hampir mati ke dulu, tapi that is not your ticket to be an asshole to Ashraf, okay? Tak ada common sense nak cakap macam tu dekat kawan kau. Macam bodoh. Kita dapat tahu yang Shifa ni is very close to Professor Kamal kan. And dia berjaya pujuk Professor Kamal untuk jumpa Ashraf. And this is when we learn that Professor Kamal ni is not your nice, wise professor. He is a scheming, two-faced bitch, okay? Bila Ashraf confront Professor Kamal ni, he pretty much sniffed out everything yang Professor Kamal planned, and Ashraf memang ada strong feeling yang Professor Kamal is guilty behind. Professor Kamal tunjuk lah belang dia yang sebenarnya, where he says something that is absolutely insane and sociopathic that I was gagged, I was gagged sebab it was a line yang sangatlah aku tak expect, but he said it, okay? He said, tanpa pengorbanan, macam mana nak ada kemajuan? That is something only sociopaths and dictators say. Oh, girl, you not right in the head, girl. You need some help. I'm telling you, you need to go to therapy, my guy. Everyone in this book needs therapy. Oh my god. So now we know how psychotic and sociopathic Professor Kamal is. And dia sendiri rasa macam, aku dah tak payah nak suruh apa-apa daripada Ashraf dah. Like, I'm tired of playing nice, okay? Now you get to see my real plans, okay? So Ashraf macam, yeah, I knew you were guilty behind this whole thing, but I did not expect it. I did not expect you to be like this. But Professor Kamal is someone who he insanely respects, okay? So when he sniffs Professor Kamal out, he is like absolutely devastated. Bila dia tahu yang Professor Kamal is the real villain behind this, he becomes very determined. Dia nekat nak expose Professor Kamal ni. So Ashraf makes it his mission to start finding Professor Kamal's flaws and basically collecting evidence and see how he can collect evidence to prove that Professor Kamal is the evil villain behind this. Now, I would like to talk about Professor Kamal as a villain. I believe he had so much more potential as the villain of the book because, okay, Professor Kamal ni dia ada physical disability, dia jalan dengan tongkat sebab kaki dia tempang. One of the reasons kenapa dia create AR ni is because, I quote, dia nak cipta satu dunia tanpa celah. He wants people like him, and in this case dia refer kepada physical disability dia tu, untuk rasa cukup, untuk rasa enough, untuk rasa sama macam orang lain, tak rasa inferior tu. So, aku rasa dia sendiri ada his own set of trauma. Apa yang menyebabkan dia rasa dia tak cukup? Disebabkan physical disability dia kan. I mean, we get it, we understand roughly kenapa dia rasa macam ni. Tapi aku nak cerita tu. But it's not stated in the book. In that aspect, in that exploration of, humanizing villains, aku rasa kita terdapat aspect. We didn't get enough of that part. And aku nak sangat tahu apa backstory Professor Kamal, because when you look at his original intentions, dia ada potential untuk jadi villain yang dulu dia baik, but power and greed and obsession got to him. So now sekarang dia dah berubah kan. Dulu intention dia bukan main bagus, so now he's a changed person. Fame changed him, power changed him, and in a way that is very similar to how people with power change when politics is involved, kan? About his youth, his growing up, apa yang buat dia rasa tak cukup, what kind of traumatic events that he had to face when dia kecil yang buat dia nak sangat pursue AR ni, sampaikan he implanted AR into his own body, and untuk capai length yang macam tu is not, I would say it is a level of insanity. And he has this insane detachment from wanting to accept who he is, being satisfied with who he is, sampai it took a toll on his own body. He is not healthy as he thinks he is. Bila dia dah install AR tu dalam badan dia, because it is all an illusion. This is something Ashraf says, like, gag girl, gag. She fought in. Oh my god, now Can I just keep ranting about Shifa? Shifa, bila dia dah tahu Ashraf jumpa Profesor Kamal kan, dia macam, Ashraf, kau bincang apa dengan Profesor Kamal kan? Dia cerita apa kat kau? In such a way that is, faham tak? Dia macam tak boleh nak read the room tau. And I don't even think that she can read the room. I think that she's just extremely insensitive. Sebab kan Ashraf nak jumpa Profesor Kamal sebab dia rasa dia sedih and dia blame Pak Si Mayaloka disebabkan apa, sebab Fikri mati. Sebab Fikri mati. So macam kenapa kau nak sibuk tanya dia kau bincang apa dengan Profesor Kamal bila kau tahu topik yang dibincangkan tu adalah topik yang sangat sensitif dan sangat sedih. Sumpah lah, aku memang tak boleh nak defend Shifa in this case. Oh, who's your favorite character? I'll say my hated character first before I talk about the character that I love. Okay, and that is Shifa. Girl, you need to get your shit together, girl. Ooh, aku rasa macam like I had to put the book down, girl. I was so mad. Oh my god. She had the audacity to feel hurt by him. And I was like, girl, you started all this. You cannot feel hurt. Like, you do not have the audacity to feel hurt by Ashraf's words because you brought this upon yourself, girl. I can't defend you. Ashraf, dia start buat plan untuk macam mana dia nak dapat evidence tentang betapa corruptnya Pak Si Mayaloka as a game. And then he was approached by police, and then he reaches out to his friends yang ada connections with hacking and knowledge untuk alter device, sebab dia plan untuk alter Adria tu untuk kegunaan bukan student university verse me. In the meantime, she thought dia macam tak puas hati dengan Profesor Kamal because not only did Ashraf did not seem happy with apa yang dia bincang dengan Profesor Kamal. Suddenly, dia kena prepare for this one-on-one battle between her and another top player whose name is Kaz. What Shiva doesn't know is that even though Profesor Kamal kata battle ni untuk kita tunjuk dekat pelabur je betapa hebatnya and advanced game ni kan, tapi sebenarnya Profesor Kamal wants to get rid of Kaz. And how he does this is by inflicting the player kill mode onto Shifa's battle with Kaz, which is absolutely crazy. And Shifa doesn't even know this. Tapi she is haunted by dia dapat mimpi yang Kaz kata dia bunuh dia. And she feels that something is not right. Tapi dia sendiri yang tak nak admit and tak nak accept that reality that Pak Si Mayaloka is not the dream world that she has always wanted, and Prof Kamal isn't exactly the good person that she thinks he is. And the reason kenapa dia rasa yang Prof Kamal ni adalah seorang yang innocent, seorang yang baik, is because when she had the traumatic event yang letak nyawa dia at risk, Professor Kamal is the one yang approached her to tell her that, you have potential, work with me, and we will try to get over your trauma by making her a Pak Si Mayaloka beta tester. And although he had good intentions, now it is not so good anymore with how he's using other people and using his own students as guinea pigs and for his own very selfish reasons, okay? And that's why Shifa ni dia rasa sangat attached dengan Profesor Kamal, and dia rasa macam Profesor Kamal ni baik lah. Apa-apa yang kau cakap tu memang tak betul sebab dia banyak tolong aku. Irony dekat dalam buku ni kan, kita rasa sangat frustrated dengan reaction Shifa dekat Profesor Kamal ni sebab kita tahu apa yang dia tak tahu. So Shiva, dia rasa macam something is not right. Sebab tiba-tiba Kaz hilang. No, because he died. And then, she believes him even more when Profesor Kamal makes this insane decision untuk buat an AI copy of Kaz yang dah mati. Isn't that insanely dystopian? Faham tak? Like, dah lah engkau buat another copy of someone who has literally died. Bagi aku lah, aku as membaca kan, bila dia decide untuk buat AI copy macam tu, aku rasa macam nyawa memang satu benda yang mudah untuk kau. Nyawa ni memang satu benda yang sangat tak berharga dekat kau. Which is true, I don't even know why that was even a question, because dia sendiri yang kata tanpa pengorbanan tak ada kemajuan, and that pengorbanan means an actual person's death, girl. for you to be playing God, main Tuhan, suka hati kau je nak matikan dengan hidupkan orang macam tu je, knowing what you can do with it, but then completely disregarding any kind of morals and ethics that come into it. Shiva is just another one of the people yang kita akan jumpa in our daily life who will see what she wants to see, to fulfill her need to feel good about herself. Bukan nak kata selfish, tapi, some people are not ready for change or to accept any change, any sudden negative changes into their life. And Shiva is just one of those people, and dia tak nak look at the ugly truth, is what I'm trying to say. And after perlawanan pergaduhan lah, Ashraf dengan Shifa, and Shifa feels incredibly regret, and finally she realizes and acknowledges the fact that dia sedar yang dia tak nak accept the reality yang Prof Kamal ni is a suspicious and evil person, because Takhta Mayaloka ni benefit her more than other people. So she realizes that finally. Thank you, God. Thank you, girl, for realizing that, because you were such an unbearable character for the rest of the book. But then, oh my god, this one too. Shiva, why are you so stupid, girl? And she dia macam provoke tau si Profesor Kamal ni. Aku macam, Ashraf baru je suruh kau senyap pasal benda ni, kau nak provoke Profesor Kamal tu kenapa? So obviously now he knows you're suspicious and that you have switched sides because you personally decided to provoke him by saying that he sucks, That is such a brilliant move on your part, girl. Dah lah kau tak percaya si Ashraf. Lepas tu bila kau dah percaya, kau nak tolong dia, kau pergi menyusahkan dia pula. Aku, geramnya. Before all this went down, Professor Kamal and Ashraf actually made a deal. And that deal is for Professor Kamal and Ashraf to have a duel on the release day of Takhta Mayaloka. And diorang nak duel. Ashraf makes a deal yang kata, kalau aku menang, kau bagi Takhta Mayaloka kat aku. Then kalau kau menang, aku akan work under kau. And personally, in my honest opinion, I don't think this deal kind of makes sense, but it is so incredibly one-sided. Macam, Professor Kamal won't stay true to his word. Kalau dia kata, kalau kau buat deal, that is so disadvantageous for you. Kan? Oh, kalau Ashraf kalah, dia akan kerja dekat Takhta Mayaloka. Dia akan kerja untuk Professor Kamal. He will do anything he says. I'm gonna be honest, kid. You have done so much damage for his reputation that the moment you say this and you lose, he's going to get rid of you, and he's not afraid to do that. So aku tak faham apa thought process Ashraf behind this incredibly one-sided deal. And even if Professor Kamal menang pun, he would not give Takhta Mayaloka to Ashraf macam tu je. So it's I don't know. I think if I reflect on it more, it just shows that Ashraf is still a little naive when it comes to how the world works. I think he's a little too optimistic. So what we are not this is not critical thinking, girl. This is hopeful thinking. You're making this deal with this villain who is not afraid of killing people. Okay. So macam, do you obviously he will not listen to you no matter what you say. He will not keep his promises no matter what. So in that sense, I think he's a little bit naive, a little bit optimistic about the world, which is a little sad, because that's not how the world works. What happens on the day of the duel is my absolute favorite scene in this book. When the MC announced nama Ashraf versus the player he needs to go against. Player yang dia kena lawan adalah an AI copy of Fikri, which is his best friend. Gag, girl, oh my god. I swear to God, bila aku baca scene tu kan, Aku meremang though. I still get goosebumps bila aku fikir balik about that scene. Because when it gets revealed and this AI copy of Fikri walks up and stands next to Ashraf, he says something along the lines of, "Rindu aku ke?" I was like, I can't imagine how it feels like to be in Ashraf's position at that time. There must have been so much emotions going through his head, and rightfully so, because that's my best friend who died, and you're telling me not only do I have to fight him to death, but also this motherfucking professor had the audacity to create his carbon copy of him from the data that he collected from his stupid ass game. So yeah, that was my favorite scene, girl. That scene had me gagging. It was such a heartbreaking scene. I still get sad bila ko ingat balik pasal scene ni, because it is something yang it was hard to read, because Ashraf had to kill his own friend, and in his hand, but like by his own hands too, and it is something very, very difficult to do. The battle between Professor Kamal and Ashraf was crazy intense, and I'm not gonna lie, I actually really liked it. I liked the fact that they defeated the final boss with the power of friendship. Yay! I really liked the fact that we were also given insight into what happened lepas the battle. Can Professor Kamal implant AR into himself, because he no longer limped bila dia jalan. He walks like a normal person again. Tapi we got to know that the effect of implanting AR into himself, his nerves are damaged, his body is under incredible amount of pressure, sebab dia paksa diri dia untuk percaya yang dia tak sakit pun. So his body is taking so much pressure and damage because of this. So which goes to show that sebenarnya AR ni it's supposed to enrich our reality. It's not supposed to replace. And I think I liked this resolution of Professor Kamal's character, because it goes to show the most basic effects of AR onto kita as individuals. Macam Professor Kamal, dia nak sangat percaya a different reality, an alternate reality, sampai dia paksa badan dia untuk be something that isn't, and that took a toll onto his body. And dia sendiri tak sedar benda tu, yang dia sebenarnya very, very sakit, and he was in so much physical pain, but he kept denying that. I thought that was an incredible conclusion, in terms of the story, in terms of his character. I think we can see like the embodiment of what AR can do kalau kau tak sangat dengan AR. Kalau kau refuse untuk accept takdir kau, kalau kau nak sangat main Tuhan kan, ni untuk main Tuhan, tak nak reject takdir kau. And Ashraf, on the other hand, he was approached by a man who offered him a company card, and this is how we get to know that maybe there will be a second book coming up. So sebab jalan cerita dia tergantung dekat situ je. But what I really wanted from this book was sort of an epilogue. An epilogue tu consists of the conversation between Ashraf dengan Shifa, because kan diorang kan lawan kan, and Ashraf pula like hampir mati because of the player kill mode, and Shifa was just making stupid decisions. Shifa actually regrets it, and rightfully so. Like, you should regret it, girl. Dia minta maaf ke Ashraf, and they talked it out, but it was so brief, because he immediately tells her his plans yang, oh, nanti aku kena lawan Professor Kamal dekat launching day of Takhta Mayaloka, and this is our plan, blah 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 blah. I wish we had a more in-depth resolution as to apa yang diorang bincangkan, apa yang diorang cerita dekat each other, because I don't want to hate Shifa, but I still have lingering feelings for that, for the things she did, and I think that if we had this kind of epilogue, a scene where they talk their feelings out, they, gave us closure, gave me closure especially, I think I would be in a better place. I think I would be a lot happier. And I think it would slightly tutup, or slightly, how do I say this, sate or satisfy the desire to tahu what happens next in the next book. That would have been amazing. But that said, I don't think this book is any less good without it. I do think that it is excellent. This story, even though I was just sitting here telling my thoughts about it, I had so many emotions going into it. It retrieved so much emotions from me. It retracted so much emotions that aku rasa macam aku tengah naik roller coaster. Memang sekejap aku ke atas, sekejap aku ke bawah. They say hidup is ibarat roda, and that's how I felt reading this book, because it made me feel so many things. It was a roller coaster ride, and aku sangat attached dekat these characters. Talking about my favorite character in this book, my favorite character is Fikri and Professor Kamal. Professor Kamal as a villain, I thought he was very interesting. I wish we got more of him, like I mentioned before. Fikri, on the other hand, he is incredibly smart. He is very goal oriented. He strategizes. He plans ahead, and also he makes sacrifices for his good friend Ashraf. Because bila didengar pasal trauma Ashraf tu, he understands and doesn't want to put Ashraf in a very tough spot anymore. I miss Fikri to this day. Not that. We didn't get enough of him, and I really want to know what Ashraf does with the AI copy of Fikri in the next book, if Evelyn plans to use that information. So I would definitely give this book 4 stars. Highly recommended. This book, buat aku rasa sedih, marah, happy, frustrated because of Shifa. As we all know, I might be the number 1 Shifa hater in this house. It was so worth it. Kalau korang cari novel Melayu yang korang tak tahu nak baca buku apa, korang tak nak novel yang terlalu sastra, yang terlalu heavy dekat bahagian bahasa, terlalu heavy dekat bahagian sastra, dengan tema-tema dia yang sangat heavy, please do baca Takhta Mayaloka. Aku 100% recommend, sebab buku ni sangat mudah untuk baca, plot dia sangat menarik, worldbuilding dia sangat mantap. So please give this a try. Thank you to Karangkraf and also Evelyn for sending me this copy. It was so worth it. I had an amazing time, and I will be sharing this book to my other friends and 100% recommending it. So thank you. Please give Takhta Mayaloka much love. If korang dah baca buku ni and want to share your in-depth thoughts, please do leave a like and give a comment about what your thoughts are. Until then, I will see you again. Bye bye.